When I was diagnosed with cancer, he said, I didn't sign up for this. A month later, I found photos of him vacationing with my nurse. He said it just happened. I pretended to forgive him and let them move in together. Until they got a letter from my lawyer stating the house they were living in was now sold. She cried, "What are we going to do?" I replied, "Figure it out like I did when I was diagnosed with cancer." He said, "I didn't sign up for this." A month later, I found pictures of him in Cancun with my nurse. He told me it just happened. I told him I forgave him. I even let them live in my house together. Then they got a letter from my lawyer saying the house had been sold. She cried, "What are we going to do?" I told her, "Figure it out like I did when I was throwing up alone while you were screwing my husband." Let me go back to the beginning. I'm 48 now. My name is Marlene. I live in Arizona, near Sedona. I was a paralegal for most of my life, but I stopped working last year when I started feeling tired all the time. I thought it was menopause or just stress. I had no idea it was cancer. When I finally went to the doctor in Flagstaff, they found a tumor the size of a golf ball. Ovarian cancer. Stage 2. I felt like my body betrayed me. And not long after, so did my husband. Dave and I had been together for 16 years. No kids. Just a house, a dog, and a quiet life. We weren't flashy people. We didn't do big vacations or have fancy cars. Just working class. He ran a small HVAC company, had a few guys under him. He never really talked about his feelings, but I didn't mind. I always thought he was the kind of man who showed love by being there. That illusion shattered the night I told him I had cancer. He didn't even ask what stage or what the treatment plan was. He just looked at me and said, "I didn't sign up for this." I still remember the way he said it. Cold. Like I was a burden. Like I'd done this to him. I didn't cry right away. I think I was too shocked. I asked him what that was supposed to mean. He told me he couldn't handle seeing me sick. That he wasn't built for that kind of thing. I told him I didn't need him to be a doctor, I just needed my husband. He left the house that night. Didn't even say goodbye. He didn't come home for 3 days. When he finally did, he didn't even look guilty. He acted like nothing happened. Said he was busy with work. I was too tired to fight, and honestly, I thought maybe he was just overwhelmed. Cancer changes everything. Over the next few weeks, I started chemo. My body felt like it was giving up on me. I lost my hair fast. My appetite went away. I was living off saltines and Ensure. I spent most of my days on the couch or in bed. That's when Erin came into the picture. Erin was my assigned nurse from the clinic. She was friendly, always smiling, blonde with those fake white teeth. She wore those tight scrubs and had this fake laugh that grated on me. But I didn't think much of it. I thought she was just trying to keep me in good spirits. Now I realize she was studying my life. Finding her opening. One night I was lying on the couch while Dave was in the shower. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. A photo popped up. My stomach dropped before I even opened it. There they were. Dave and Erin. On a beach. She was wearing a bikini. He was shirtless, drink in hand. Smiling. Happy. I opened the rest. There were more. Her kissing his cheek. Him holding her from behind. It was Cancun. I could tell from the resort name on the towel. I was speechless. I was in hell, and he was on vacation with the woman who was supposed to be taking care of me. I confronted him that night. I didn't scream. I just handed him the phone. He didn't even try to lie. Said it just happened. That they had gotten close because she understood what he was going through. I said, "She's my nurse, Dave." He just shrugged. We didn't mean for it to happen. But it did. I asked him what he planned to do. He said he was thinking of moving out, maybe trying to see if he could make it work with her. I stared at him, really stared, and I said, you know what? Go ahead. Do whatever you want. He looked confused, but I smiled and told him I forgave him. I said I didn't want to fight. That I needed peace to heal. I said he could stay in the house. I even told him Erin could move in if she wanted. They bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. I moved out 2 weeks later. Told them I needed to be closer to my treatment center in Flagstaff. Packed up a few things and left them the house. What they didn't know was that I owned the house. Dave never put a cent into the mortgage. My mom left me money when she passed, and I used it to buy that place outright in my name only. While they were decorating the living room and playing house, I was talking to my lawyer. Arranging the sale. Quietly. Legally. I sold the house to a real estate investor from Phoenix. He paid cash. It was done in a few weeks. Then the letter went out. They got it on a Tuesday. Erin called me in tears. We just got this letter from a lawyer. It says the house is sold? What does this mean? I let her talk. Let her cry. Then I said, it means you've got 14 days to get out. She started sobbing. But we don't have anywhere to go. What are we supposed to do? I waited a beat, then said, figure it out, like I did when I was throwing up into a trash can while you two were on a beach. She hung up. I haven't heard from them since. You'd think that would have been the end of it, right? It wasn't. About a week after they got the letter, I got a message from Dave. He didn't call or text, he emailed me. Like we were strangers. Said he was shocked I would do something so vindictive. Said he thought we had an understanding. An understanding? I stared at the screen, trying not to scream. The man who left me during cancer treatment thought I owed him an explanation? He went on about how hard things had been lately. How they had put money into fixing up the house since I left. Apparently Erin had bought new curtains and a rug. He even mentioned repainting the guest room. As if that meant something. I didn't respond. A few days later, I got a call from the realtor handling the sale. He said someone had broken a window. Nothing was taken, but it looked like someone had been inside after the lockbox was removed. I knew exactly who it was. I called the cops. They said they'd do a report, but without evidence, not much would come of it. I told them to keep it on record anyway. I was done being the quiet one. Then things escalated. Erin showed up at the clinic. I was getting a checkup in Flagstaff. I had just finished a round of chemo and was sitting in the lobby, feeling like death, when I saw her. She walked in like she belonged there, like she wasn't sleeping with a married man and living in a house she had no right to. She walked up to the front desk and asked for me by name. When she saw me in the corner, she walked over like we were old friends. "Can we talk?" she asked. I was too tired to make a scene, so I nodded. We stepped outside. The second the doors closed behind us, her smile dropped. "I didn't know he was your husband at first," she started. I didn't say anything. She went on. Said she fell for him because he seemed lost and alone. That she was trying to help. I said, "You were my nurse." She nodded. "I know. But I never thought you two had that kind of connection." That kind of connection? We were married for 16 years. Then she said the thing that pushed me over the edge. "I just don't think you should have sold the house like that. It feels cruel." Cruel. I laughed. I laughed so hard I started coughing, and it hurt like hell. But I couldn't stop. I told her, "You moved into another woman's house while she was fighting cancer. You took her husband and her dog. And you're standing here telling me I'm cruel?" She tried to backtrack. Said they were working on getting a place and might be homeless now. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Figure it out." Then I turned and walked back inside. That night, I went home to my new apartment in Flagstaff. Small, but quiet. No reminders of him. No shared closets. Just peace. Or so I thought. A few nights later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was from one of Dave's old coworkers, Mike. I hadn't talked to him in years, but he had always been kind to me. Said he heard through the grapevine that Dave was drinking heavy. That he'd stopped showing up to jobs. That he even got into a fight at a bar in Cottonwood. I didn't care. Not really. But then Mike said something that stuck. You should know, he told people you were the one who cheated. Said you and your doctor had a thing. That you abandoned him. I sat there, holding the phone, stunned. He was spreading lies. Telling people I was the one who walked out. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. People like Dave don't take blame. They rewrite the story until they look like the victim. So I decided to tell mine. I opened my laptop, logged into an old account on a local community Facebook group, and wrote everything. I laid it out clean. No drama, no shouting. Just facts. How he left me during cancer. How he took up with my nurse. How I let them live in the house and then sold it, legally. How they called me cruel. It blew up. The comments poured in. People shared it. Friends I hadn't heard from in years messaged me to say they were sorry. Some even said they'd seen him with Aaron around town, acting smug, like they were some kind of power couple. Not anymore. Their names were dirt. But I wasn't done yet. Because I had one more card to play. A few weeks passed. I didn't hear much. It got quiet. Too quiet. That's when I started getting the bills. First, a credit card statement from a store I'd never shopped at. Then another one. Someone had used my information to buy furniture. Expensive stuff. I called the company and found out the items were delivered to my old address. The house. Which I no longer owned. I called my lawyer. He told me it could be fraud, and we filed a police report. I gave them Dave's name. Aaron's too. The detective said they'd look into it, but that proving identity theft can take time. I was angry all over again. I didn't stop there. I hired a private investigator. Not cheap, but worth every penny. It took less than a week. The investigator found out that Dave had taken out a small business loan using my old information. He forged my signature. Said we were still married and that I was co-signing. The bank approved it because our names were linked on some older taxes. He used the money to try and expand his HVAC company. Bought tools, maybe even a truck. But it failed. Badly. The investigator also found something else. Erin had been fired from her job at the clinic. Not long after she got involved with Dave. They didn't tell me at the time, probably to protect themselves. But she violated protocol by getting personally involved with a patient's spouse. There was an internal investigation. She'd been warned, then let go. They were both spiraling. Broke. Jobless. And now, possibly facing charges. I should have felt satisfied. But I didn't. I felt tired. Worn out. Like the cancer had drained something from me that I couldn't get back. Then one morning, there was a knock at my door. It was Dave. Standing there like nothing happened. Holding a duffel bag. Hair a mess. Looked like he hadn't shaved in days. "Can I come in?" he asked. I just stared. "I got nowhere else to go," he added. I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't. I was too stunned. "You serious?" I asked. He nodded. Erin left. Took off back to California. Said I ruined her life. I crossed my arms. "You did. You ruined mine too." He didn't argue. Just stood there, quiet. Then he said something I didn't expect. "I'm sorry." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Just, defeated. I didn't say anything. I stepped back, shut the door, and locked it. Then I sat on my couch, shaking. Not from fear. From the weight of it all. I thought that would be the last time I saw him. It wasn't. Because a few days later, I got another letter. From his lawyer. He was suing me. For emotional distress and unjust enrichment. Said I manipulated him. Took the house from under him. Caused him to lose business and stability. I laughed for 5 minutes straight before calling my lawyer again. He didn't have a leg to stand on. But that wasn't the point. The point was, he wanted to drag me down with him. And I wasn't going down. Not this time. The lawsuit wasn't real. My lawyer said right away it was garbage. No court would ever take it seriously. It was a scare tactic. Something meant to rattle me. And for a minute, it did. I lay awake that night thinking about everything. The years I gave to Dave. The kindness I showed him even after he betrayed me. The patience I had when I should have walked away. I realized something, I had been too soft for too long. So I fought back. My lawyer filed a countersuit for identity theft, fraud, and defamation. I sent the documentation from the private investigator. I gave them the credit card bills. I gave them the bank records. We had everything. And then I went one step further. I wrote a public letter. This time, not just in the Facebook group, but in the Sedona Gazette. I told the whole story. I didn't use his last name, but everyone knew. The town isn't that big. I named what he did. I named what she did. I told the truth, raw and straight. I didn't do it for pity. I did it because he tried to destroy my name. And I made sure he'd never be able to hide from what he did. By the time the hearing date came around, Dave didn't even show. His lawyer quit the case. The judge tossed his lawsuit in under 5 minutes and moved to mine. He was ordered to pay damages, nothing huge, but enough to make a dent. Enough to remind him that actions have consequences. As for Erin, she was gone. Rumor was she tried to get a job in California, but the termination followed her. Nurses have licenses. Licenses have records. She vanished from every social media platform. Like a ghost. Dave, though, stuck around town. Or tried to. People didn't want to hire him anymore. Word spread. No one wanted a man who'd leave his sick wife for her nurse. He tried to rebrand his company, but the damage was done. A few months later, I heard he left town too. I didn't smile when I heard it. I didn't feel proud. I just felt done. The cancer didn't beat me. Chemo didn't break me. They tried to ruin me, and I walked away stronger. But I won't pretend I came out clean. I became someone colder. I used the system I once trusted to gut people who wronged me. I did it legally, but I did it with the same coldness they showed me. I don't know what that makes me. Maybe just human. I still have bad days. The chemo left its mark. My energy isn't what it used to be. I lost a part of myself in all this. But I got something back too. Peace. And every time I sit on my new porch, coffee in hand, sun coming up over the red rocks, I remember the girl who cried alone in that old bathroom, holding on to her hair as it fell out in clumps. She's gone. And the woman who replaced her? She doesn't forget. She forgives no one who made her suffer. Not even herself.